Wait or walk? Hi, I'm Dave Arnott, the Christian Economist. In today's episode, we're going to talk about Christianity, we're going to talk about worldview, economics, we may even get into some personality. So, as we think about this topic of waiting or walking, you're welcome to think about it in terms of across a spectrum. So on the left side of a whiteboard, you might see the word wait. And on the right side of the board, you might see the word walk. That's the practical application. I was in a Sunday school class one time with a guy named Bob Stanberry, and he gave a lesson that changed my life. On the left side of the board, he wrote God's sovereignty. On the right side of the board, he wrote man's responsibility. This is how we think of the world from the Christian worldview. We believe God is sovereign, meaning he's powerful, he can do whatever he wants. But also on the right side of the board, we believe that we humans have some responsibility to do some things. Hey, in economics, on the left side of the board, we write passive and say we should have more passive fiscal and monetary responsibilities and policies. On the right side of the board, we say, no, humans are in charge. We should have more active policies. That's our subject today, passive and active economic policies from fiscal and monetary points of view. We may even have 30 seconds to get into the personality side, which on the left side of the board would be people who have an external locus of control. Those on the right side of the board have an internal locus of control. Yeah, a lot to cover in 10 minutes. But let me take you back to Bob Stanberry in the class in which he wrote on the left side of the board, God's sovereignty. If God's sovereign and God is in charge, we humans believe as Christians that we should do less. Now, atheists have it easy. They're way on the right side of the board. Since there is no God, there's only man, and there's only government. This is often seen as on the left side of the board, God, on the right side, government. Atheists are easy. They land only on the right side because since there is no God, then humans have to do everything. There's a little book by Robert Morgan called Red Sea Rules. It's been very valuable to my wife Ginger and I. He puts us at the edge of the Red Sea with the Israelites. So behind them is a sea too deep to be forded. Charging toward them are Pharaoh's soldiers with their swords drawn, and on either side are deserts too deep to be crossed. What do? Robert Morgan in Red Sea Rules said when you are in a difficult time of life like this, you do one of 10 things. And I'm going to read today just short portions from his book, Red Sea Rules, rule number 5 and rule number 6, because rule number 5 is on the left side of the board. It says wait. Red Sea rule number 5 is stay calm and confident and give God time to work. Moses said to the people, don't be afraid. This is from Exodus 14, by the way. Don't be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall see again no more forever. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. And on in Red Sea rule number 5, he says, wait. God is in charge. God isn't sovereign. God is sovereign. Don't do anything. God will take care of this for you. And in economics, these are the passive people. They say we should not have very active monetary and fiscal policies. Leave it alone. The world will take care of itself. There's a really great quote from Jay Richards in his wonderful book from 2009, Money, Greed, and God. Here's his quote, Jay Richards. The market is, as Frederick Hayek said, probably the most complex structure in the universe. It deserves our admiration, and yet very few Christian critics have fully understood it. Fewer still have thought of it as a stunning example of God's providence over a fallen world. It is just what we might expect of a God who, even in a fallen world, can still work all things together for good. End quote, Money, Greed, and God, Jay Richards, 2009. Really a great book. Richards and I, as Christian economists, are relatively on the left side of this spectrum, and most Christian economists are. Atheist economists, by their worldview, are way on the right side. But let me go back to Red Sea Rules by Robert Morgan and take you to his rule number 6. You remember rule number 5? Stand still. Wait. Don't do anything. God will take care of this. Then you go to Red Sea rule number 6, his very next one. Maybe my favorite of the 10 rules. Red Sea rule number 6. When unsure, just take the next logical step by faith. On the despairing shores of the Red Sea, Morgan writes, the Israelites couldn't see what was in the distance, but the Lord gave them a simple plan. Tell the children of Israel to go forward. I love that. Red Sea rule number 6. When unsure, just take the next logical step by faith. And as a matter of fact, as I've been working on this whole Christian economics concept and the idea of and how to transport it and how to communicate it, I've used that phrase more than any other. When people ask me about this project, I say, I'm unsure, so I'm just taking the next logical step by faith. That means humans have some responsibility. Going back to our board that you're visualizing in your mind, on the left side, it says God's sovereignty. God is sovereign. Don't worry about it. It will take care of itself. On the right side, it says, no, man has some responsibility to do things, and we must do them. Okay? So in economics, we look at this in terms of demand-siders, who are pretty much on the right side of this spectrum, supply-siders, who are pretty much on the left. What is the economy? Is the economy on the left side of the board? Is it a force of nature that will heal itself? Or is it on the right side of the board? Is it a machine? So your worldview has a lot to do with whether you believe in a passive or active monetary and fiscal policies. My brother was a critical care nurse for his entire career, and he was with me one time, and I had some really small malady. And I asked him about it, and he had one question. He said, is it getting better? I said, yes. He said, okay. What assumption was he making? Left side of the board. Your body will take care of itself. It will heal itself. You don't have to do anything. Is the economy a force of nature that will heal itself on the left side of the board? Or is it a machine on the right side of the board, which we humans must tinker with? Look, we're in a current age where we see many things as a machine, perhaps too many things. And the more I learn about the economy, the more I learn that we are wrong when we're on the right side of the spectrum and we say the economy is a machine that we must tinker with. The more I learn, the more I've leaned to the left side of the board as a sovereign God who Jay Richards says guards and guides and takes care of the economy. I'm not saying we should do nothing. We should do something. But the question is, how much should we do? A good student in class the other day named Jordan asked the question, well, if the data shows that this demand-side stuff doesn't work, if fiscal stimulus doesn't work, if monetary policy is not that effective, why do people do it? And I gave him a long, complicated answer, but I think I finally redeemed the answer at the end by saying, because it feels good to do something. It doesn't do good to do something, but it feels good to do something. And so we think, yes, there are humans who are in charge of the economy. On the right side of the board, we tinker with it. It's a machine. We tune it up. But the more you learn about it, and this is what Jordan learned in class just the other day, we probably should move to the left side. Not only because we believe there's a God who guards and guides, but because the more you learn about these things, at the time when in the economics class we were studying the Phillips curve, and we found out it really doesn't work. You really can't trade off inflation for unemployment except for in the very short term. It really is, the economy is really a force of nature more than a machine. But it's both, isn't it? And that's the point I want to make to you today. Nobody's totally on the left, just left side of this framework, saying we should do nothing. Nobody's totally on the right, saying humans do it all. There's somewhere in between. Look, I was with my daughter and 3 grandkids last night, and there was a beautiful sunset. And of course, our view was, look at the beautiful sunset that God made. We were on the left side of the board. If an atheist had been standing next to us, she would have said, no, this is a machine. The sun is a burning ball of hydrogen 93 million miles away. The sunlight hits those clouds, reaches your eye, and you see these colors. She would have said, no, this is a machine. We assume that God made that sunset. What do you assume? As Christian economists, we should be somewhere on the left side of this spectrum. And that's my only message to you today. Should we wait or should we walk? Probably we should do more waiting than walking when it comes to the economy, when it comes to fiscal and monetary policy. I'm Dave Arnott, the Christian Economist, where our motto is fear God, tell the truth, earn a profit. See you next time.